Part 1, Arizona State Legislator. This is Part 2, Election Fraud, Arizona State Legislator Hearing.
Get the enemy or target population in a foreign country to think and act a certain way. These machines have multiple points of injection that are vulnerable, everywhere from the server level, where passwords, accesses are posted for the dark web for any hacker to get in and access them. And what they can do at the far right limit is download CSV files or like an Excel spreadsheet, change the columns, and re-upload them. And that can be done at the server level. At the operator level, if there's software, it can be corrupted. It can be manipulated. With a device that is as small and as simple as a USB device, which these machines are booted up and run off of. So a little bit of history, and I can show you some charts on the DNA of these machines. But the common software goes back to SGO Smartmatic. As Mayor mentioned, they sold Sequoia voting systems to Dominion in 2010, and then Diebold spun off the Premier election system to Dominion as a result of the antitrust concerns. I believe that was also in 2010. So the bottom line is that these systems all have similar code and similar functions, and it's displayed in their operator's manual. So, I know it's kind of been, in the press, it's kind of been poo-pooed that, this doesn't go back to Hugo Chavez. But I personally debriefed the son of a Cuban intelligence officer who had firsthand knowledge, speaking with two of Hugo Chavez's family members, that in the Maduro election, when the populist uprising threatened Venezuela's totalitarian leadership, that Hugo Chavez's family members said that don't worry, that it's guaranteed that their father invested the money to build the SGO voting machine system. So, in a nutshell, these systems are not what you've been told, if you've been told anything. They are connected to the internet. There is no transparency of how the voter information is processed, moved, and stored. And as a matter of fact, these companies have refused to allow any type of inspection into their code, and they always decry, it's our IP, it's IP protection. But with declaration, I believe, with Jay Johnson, was our Secretary of Homeland Security, he declared that the national election system was national critical infrastructure. So there is, I think, reason for us to understand the code and how these machines function and how they use our votes and process our votes. The voting record is able to be modified, deleted, adjusted by administrators or outside threats, and those are also explained in the user's manual. Operators can assign votes for write-in votes, blank or error ballots, in large numbers. So all of these votes that can get put into a batch file, and then the administrator of that voting or tabulation system can say, okay, there's 8,000 votes in this batch file, or there's 5,000 votes in this batch file. And they can say, well, I think, this batch, we'll just make this go to this candidate. And they have that they have that authority in the user's manual to do that. Our team is not the only team that's working on this. There are literally hundreds of other small cyber teams that have weighed in on this. There are tons of statisticians. You'll hear from some of your Arizona citizens today, but we've been working in several states looking at these anomalies. But it's not a secret. DEF CON last year, I think the hacking teams broke in and manipulated these machines in under 2 minutes. So it can be done. It's easy, and there's very little security.
Under 2 minutes.
They can be hacked to manipulate votes. One of our white hat hackers discovered a malware on the server. It's called the Q-Snatch. It basically records login credentials and passwords. So if someone in Philadelphia, or someone in Maricopa County, or someone in Antrim, Michigan, logged in, that malware will grab their username and password. And so you can log in. If access to the backside of that malware, you can log in wherever you are in the world to Maricopa County to manipulate. So there's multiple ways.
Interrupt you a second.
Yes, sir.
So we get the point of this clear. You actually examined one of the machines, and you were actually able to see very, very clear changes in vote in the machine, correct?
Correct, in Michigan.
And it was down ballot changes. How many?
Correct. So the down ballot looks, it was for, there were changes in the election day vote on 11/3 to the recount vote on 11/6. Say for example, the school board, one lady on the election day received 519 votes, and this was a very small precinct. In the post recount, they went from 592 to 852. The total votes went from 1068 to 1810, and the write-in vote jumped from 24 to 112. There was another proposition on a state proposal that jumped significantly from 700 votes on election day up to 1083 on the recount. So there are a lot of variabilities, and what we believe this is due to is the USB drive that was used in the election day versus the post-election recount.
Well, this proposition, when I see, I think we should give them a copy of this, make this available to them, because it shows on the day of the election, this is a proposition about the use of future revenues generated from oil and gas bonuses. And I take it was fairly controversial. So the first vote was 774 for, 508 against. The second vote was 1083 for and 206 against. Quite a difference. Now, how did that difference come about? How do you accomplish that difference? How does the machine change from after the votes are cast? What does the machine remember other votes?
So there's a card that stores the votes, and it's run against the algorithm that's put on the USB card into the actual machine and the tabulator, and that difference was basically the tabulation algorithm.
Why, excuse me for my ignorance, but why would you put an algorithm in if you have a vote that's 774 to 508?
That's
Why wouldn't you just look and see, was that the correct vote? Why do you put an algorithm in which is introducing an outside force to what should be an internal process?
to shift things how you like them. When you look at moving these algorithms.
Thank you for tuning in to Jazz That's Me. Stay tuned for part 3, where we go on, we go off.